All right, what is happening, sports fans? Welcome to the playoffs. Christian Pedersen from San Diego Prep Insider. I am joined by Haseen Williams. He was a former basketball correspondent who then jumped into the coaching ranks because he wanted to get himself some hardware. Finally, he's at Mira Mason now. Happy playoffs. Thank you very much for joining us. I noticed you're drinking a Starbucks. Do you treat yourself to a little extra caffeine in the playoffs? How taxed is a coach at this point in the year?
It's funny. You shorten up practice times. You have a plan of what you're going to do during the course of a practice, but then you realize you probably have to condense it. So it's a lot more mental instructions, a lot more classroom, a lot more film, and a lot less on-court time because kids and coaches are just taxed at this time of year.
And a lot more caffeine, I'm assuming, at those
Definitely,
in-between breaks.
definitely need the caffeine.
You need an extra shot or two. So Haseen is nice enough to join us to talk about technically all of the playoffs. We're probably just going to focus mostly on the open division games, but D1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are all out there ready to go. So Haseen, you got the brackets next to you on the screen there. Are you cool just going game by game, giving us kind of your reactions to each matchup? Let's start with that.
Absolutely.
That 1 versus 8 La Jolla Country Day, Mater Dei Catholic.
So that's a tough one, just because of the way the draw played out. I mean, Country Day is the number one team in the country by a lot of people's estimation and have been so for a while. So Mater Dei is a solid team. They're very young, but, I mean, Country Day is just going to be a tall task. You got All-American and Tiana Pau Pau, and probably the best freshman in the state in Brea Cunningham. And that's just to say a few of their two names, that they're a loaded squad. So not that they would be looking past Mater Dei, but knowing their goals are set a lot higher than this first round matchup, and they have bigger aspirations on the state level for the big top prize of open for the state. So on that one, I'd have to go with Country Day.
I'll just jump out and say that the 22nd is when all these games will be played. And Haseen, you are good at very circular talking, saying that you like this matchup. It is a tough draw, but there's kind of close. But also then you name drop that La Jolla Country Day has like basically the 90s dream team on there. So on anybody in the county that drew that game has to feel that's a tough draw. Let's go down to the next one. La Costa Canyon, Bonita Vista. The 4-5 game, historically speaking, is the biggest toss-up pick'em of that game. What do you see here?
So this one is this will be part 3. These two teams faced off twice. The first one was really close, with Bonita coming out on top. Then they played again, I want to say in late December, and it was not so close. Bonita kind of ran away from them. It is really hard to beat a team 3 times. I mean, Bonita Vista a couple years back had to play Mater Dei 4 times, and the 4th one is what got them. So I say I'm going to give La Costa a really good shot. Because again, it's hard to beat somebody 3 times, but I think Bonita's probably too strong, and if I had to make a pick, I'd go with them.
Certainly is interesting seeing Bonita Vista 4 seed here on the guys' side being the 1 seed. They're a basketball school. Like you can just flat out say Bonita Vista is a basketball school and a successful one at that. So congratulations to the girls. Win, lose, or draw, you always kind of check a box when you make it to that open division playoffs and get to host a home game. It's all sorts of good reflections upon the program. Other side of the bracket, so someone from that first half will play in one half of the final. We'll have another one of the finalists from these last 2 games, and that is number 3, Cathedral Catholic, playing host to number 6, Bishops. Is it going to be roll Dawns, or will the Knights pull off an upset?
So, I used to be with the Knights, so, it's always tough when I have to make predictions because sometimes people view it as who
then let's back out a sense, and I'll just ask you this.
I'm with it. I'm good.
Okay.
Because those guys over there, they know how I feel about them. Cathedral is the only team in the county that really put a scare into Country Day. They played them really close and went into overtime where Country Day was able to pull out a buzzer beater. This is also a rematch of an earlier game where Cathedral took on Bishops. It was close early, but Cathedral kind of ran away. Outside of Country Day, nobody's as deep. 1 through 7, 1 through 8, 1 through 9 as Cathedral. They can beat you so many ways. I'm actually too familiar with them, having played them twice in league this year, and they're probably the only team that we really play where there was nothing that we could do to even compete with them, just because of their depth and talent. So I think as good and as much as I love the Knights, I think Cathedral's going to be too much of a tall task. Bishops is very, very young, so they'll be around for a while, but I think this one will have to go to Cathedral.
So this will be one of the ones that the Bishops players remember in a couple of years, perhaps, as they are
Absolutely.
raising a banner going, yeah, we learned it from that one. You mentioned Cathedral Catholic being the team that put the biggest scare into La Jolla Country Day. The math is saying, however, that Westview is the team best suited to take on Country Day because they get the number 2 seed in the playoffs. They're going to be playing host to number 7 Christian. That's the last game that'll round out the open division. Westview, kind of a quiet number 2, if there is such a thing in terms of just the hype and the focus, just because, you kind of feel like maybe there is that gap between La Jolla Country Day and everyone else. But like I said, the math says Westview is the best team to try and take them on. Agree or disagree? We have an upset brewing here. What do you see in this last game?
So honestly, I think of all the teams in the Open, Westview is probably playing with the least amount of pressure. I even talked to the head coach a couple weeks ago, and he had the sense that he knew that all of the other teams were kind of angling to maybe get that 7 spot so they could face them off. So I think he kind of has that understanding of they are, even though they're the 2 seed, they're definitely more of the hunted than the hunter. So I think honestly, Christian would probably, if there was a Vegas line on it, Christian would probably be the favorite. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I think the styles of the 2 teams play. They both want to play fast. They both want to get up and down. Westview just had a really, really big injury with Naomi Gibson that's going to be really, really tough for them to overcome. I think it would have been tough for them to probably pull the victory off at full strength. But with Gibson out, I think it's going to be even tougher. So I'm going to have to pick Christian in that one.
Well, here's the good part, is that no matter what, we're treated to good basketball. 4 great games will be played on the 22nd. Haseen, the rest of the divisions, we don't need to go in-depth every single one of them, but just help educate the basketball fan that is now in full-blown give me mode on maybe 1 or 2 good storylines, 1 or 2 heartwarming, 1 or 2 favorites, potential. I don't just anything else that you see. Give me a team or 2 from all of the other divisions that maybe might excite you a little bit if you're just a raw basketball fan.
So in Division 1, obviously, I'm pulling for my own team. So we won't get too in depth.
We'll block
so
out all of D1. Let's block that out so you don't have to cross any wires. Let's move D2 through D5.
There's so much talent in that division. It's been, I mean, you got Mission Hills, who's a perennial open team. They're in the 1 seed. That's what we'll face off with. Sarah was a team that really felt like and played a top level schedule. They were, if the Open went to 9 or 10 teams, they would be in there. They actually just beat Westview a couple of weeks ago, so that tells you how good they are. So that's going to be a toss-up for Division 1. Division 2, also a toss-up. You got Otay as the 1 seed, a really, really good Lincoln squad. They're probably my pick in that division. We played them a couple weeks ago. New coach Lonnie Jones, who I actually replaced at Mira Mesa, has done an outstanding job over there at his alma mater with the Hornets, so they'll be tough. In 3, I think 3 is probably the most intriguing. You got a really, really good, strong Foothills Christian team. You have a Coronado team that's flying under the radar all season. Who else? You Point Loma is probably the best team that nobody knows about. They've been dominant all season. So I think 3 is the one that's probably going to be the trickiest. And then 4 and 5, I think I'm fairly confident in definitely 5. I'll skip to 5. I think you can book Hoover for 5. They have been dominant, played a schedule way above Division 5. So I think they should be very battle tested and ready for Division 5. And then 4 is going to be a tough one. But if I had to make a pick for Division 4, I'd go with the San Diego Lady Cavers.
Deal. Book them. We hopefully will have you back on, though, as some of the other rounds progress so that we don't have this gap in all of it. But thank you very much, Haseen, for joining us. Haas22 on Twitter and Instagram. Is that still all the appropriate tags?
That is me.
All right. Find him at Haas22 on Twitter, on Instagram, because he's what's good. Girls basketball is what's good. Thank you very much for tuning in, sports fans.